People are intimidated by you, and you don't even realize it. You think you're just being yourself, direct, confident, focused. But other people see something different, something that makes them uncomfortable. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your presence challenges something in them. Sometimes people admire it. Sometimes they resent it. But almost everyone notices it. Here's the truth. Intimidation isn't always about aggression. Sometimes it's about strength, about composure, about refusing to shrink to make others comfortable. And the Stoics understood this perfectly. They knew that strong people naturally create discomfort in weak people, not intentionally, just by existing. Stay until the end, because I'll show you the 7 signs people feel intimidated by you, and why that's not something you need to fix. Sign 1. People avoid eye contact with you. When you walk into a room, people look away. Not rudely, just quickly. They glance at you and then look down, or to the side, or at their phone. This isn't shyness, it's intimidation. Eye contact requires confidence, and when someone feels they can't match your energy, they avoid the confrontation that eye contact creates. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself. When you're comfortable with yourself, truly comfortable, it shows in your eyes. And people who aren't comfortable with themselves can't hold that gaze." Sign 2. Conversations become formal around you. People relax around some people. They joke. They're casual. They let their guard down. But around you? Different. They're polite, measured, careful with their words. Not because you're mean, because your presence demands a certain standard. You don't tolerate nonsense. You don't engage in gossip. You don't participate in shallow conversation. And people feel that. So they adjust, not consciously, automatically. Sign 3. People seek your approval more than others. When you compliment someone, they remember it. When you criticize something, they take it seriously. Your opinion carries weight, even when you don't think it should. Because intimidating people have a different kind of authority. Not from titles, from presence. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." You know who you are, and that certainty makes others uncertain about how they measure up. So they seek your validation, to know they're acceptable, to know they're enough. Sign 4. People justify themselves to you without being asked. You ask a simple question, "Why did you do that?" And they launch into a full explanation, defending, justifying, over-explaining. You weren't attacking them, you were just asking. But they felt the need to prove themselves. Because your presence makes people feel evaluated. Not because you're judging them, but because you hold yourself to a high standard. And people assume you hold them to that same standard. Sign 5. People go quiet when you speak. In group conversations, you don't speak often. But when you do, people listen. Not because you're loud, because you're intentional. You don't waste words. You don't fill silence with noise. And when you speak, it's clear you've thought about it. That makes your words carry more weight than someone who talks constantly. Seneca wrote, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." You live this, and people feel the difference between your silence and everyone else's noise. Sign 6. People watch how you react before they react. Something happens, good or bad, and people glance at you to see your response. Before they form their own, they're using you as a reference point. for what's acceptable, for what's worth reacting to, for how to handle situations. This happens because you're emotionally controlled. You don't panic. You don't overreact. You process and then respond. And that composure becomes the standard people measure themselves against. Sign 7. People assume you're judging them even when you're not. You're quiet, observing, listening. And someone says, "What? Why are you looking at me like that?" You weren't looking at them in any particular way. You were just present. But they felt judged, because intimidating people don't need to say anything to make others feel evaluated. Their presence alone creates that effect. Not through effort, through energy. I didn't realize I was intimidating people. I thought I was just being normal, focused, direct, keeping to myself. But I started noticing patterns. People wouldn't make eye contact. Conversations would shift when I entered a room. People would over-explain things I didn't even question. And I thought, am I doing something wrong? But I wasn't. I was just being myself. And that self was stronger than I realized. One day someone told me, "You're really intimidating, you know that?" I was surprised. How? I don't know. You just are. You don't talk much. But when you do, it's like it matters. I wasn't trying to intimidate anyone. I was just being intentional, not wasting energy on things that didn't matter, not participating in drama, not seeking validation. And apparently, that's intimidating. Then I noticed the second sign. Conversations around me were different. People were polite, careful. They wouldn't joke the way they did with others. At first, I thought they didn't like me, but that wasn't it. They were adjusting to what they felt my presence required. A certain standard, a certain seriousness. Not because I demanded it, but because I embodied it. If this is resonating, subscribe. Because being intimidating isn't a weakness. It's a sign that you've developed something most people haven't. Strength, composure, self-respect. Then I noticed the third sign. My opinion mattered more than I thought it should. Someone would ask me what I thought about something. And whatever I said, they took it seriously. Even when I was just offering a casual observation, they'd remember it, reference it later, adjust based on it. At first, I didn't understand why. But then I realized I didn't give my opinion often. So when I did, it carried weight. Not because I was important, but because I was selective. The fourth sign was the most obvious. People would justify themselves to me, without me asking. I know this looks bad, but I had a good reason for. Let me explain why. I wasn't accusing them. I wasn't even questioning them. But they felt the need to prove themselves. Because my presence created a standard, and they wanted to meet it. Then the fifth sign. When I spoke, people listened. Not because I was louder, because I was quieter. I didn't compete for attention. I didn't fill silence just to be heard. So when I did speak, people noticed. And they listened. Not out of obligation, but because they knew I only spoke when I had something worth saying. The sixth sign was people watching me. For my reaction, something would happen, and I'd see people glance at me to gauge my response. Before forming their own, I became their reference point for what was acceptable, for what mattered, for how to handle situations. And I realized that's what intimidation is. Not fear, but influence. Finally, the seventh sign. People assumed I was judging them, even when I wasn't thinking about them at all. I'd be quiet, observing, processing, and someone would get defensive. What? Why are you looking at me like that? I wasn't looking at them in any way, but my presence alone made them feel evaluated. And that's when I understood. Intimidation isn't something you do, it's something you are. When you're comfortable with who you are. The Stoics didn't try to make people comfortable. They focused on one thing: being in control of themselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you master yourself, when you're in full control of your reactions, your emotions, your energy, you create a presence that others can feel. And some people are intimidated by that. Not because you're threatening, but because you're solid, unmovable, self-contained. Strong presence exposes insecurity. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." People who aren't in control of themselves feel uncomfortable around people who are, because your composure highlights their chaos. Your silence highlights their noise. Your intentionality highlights their lack of direction. And that creates discomfort, not your fault, just reality. Here's what intimidation actually is. It's not aggression. It's not arrogance. It's strength that doesn't apologize for being strength. It's composure that doesn't break under pressure. It's self-respect that doesn't bend for approval. And people who don't have those things feel small around people who do. Not because you're making them small, because they're making themselves small. So should you change? Should you dim your light to make others comfortable? No. The Stoics would say, stay as you are. If people are intimidated, that's information. Not about you, about them. About where they are in their own development. Some people will rise to meet your standard. Some people will pull away. Both are acceptable outcomes. Here's what happens when you accept that you're intimidating. Week 1, you stop apologizing for your presence. Week 2, you notice who stays and who leaves. Week 3, the people who stay are the ones who respect strength. Week 4, your circle becomes smaller, but stronger. Final truth, being intimidating is not a flaw. It's a feature of a strong person, of a composed person, of someone who has done the work to master themselves. Don't shrink to make weak people comfortable. Don't dim your energy to fit into spaces that can't handle your presence. Stay as you are, and let intimidation filter your life. Weak people will leave, strong people will stay, and your life will reflect the standard you hold. Not everyone can handle that. And that's okay, because the people who can are the only ones worth your energy anyway. If people are intimidated by you, good. It means you're doing something right. It means you've built something most people haven't. Strength, composure, self-mastery. Don't apologize for it. Own it. And let the intimidated stay intimidated, or rise to meet you. Either way, you stay solid.